Have you ever felt like you love someone 1 minute and then you hate them the next? Like you're really up here and in love and everything is super great. And then something happens, you perceive something, something gets activated inside you, and then wham, you can't stand that person. They're the devil. They're the worst person in the whole wide world. Well, this isn't just you being emotional. It could be something called splitting or black and white thinking. Now, this is a big part of individuals with BPD or BPD traits, but it's not only individuals with BPD that do the splitting, that tends to see things as all great and perfect and wonderful, or all terrible and the devil and just the worst ever. Sometimes it's not just others, sometimes it could be yourself. Well, let's find out what it is, and I'm going to give you some suggestions on how to handle it. So here we go. What is splitting anyway? Well, let's talk about it. So splitting is when you see people either as all good or all bad. It's like there's no middle ground. There's no shades of gray. It's all black, all white. That there's no shades of gray. You can't see the good and bad at the same time. For example, imagine you have a friend who always supports you. One day you text them, but they don't respond quickly. Instead of thinking, they might be busy, you suddenly feel like they don't care about me at all, and you cut them out of your life. You're like, that's it. You're gone. Well, splitting makes it hard to see people as complicated, which other people are, even sometimes ourselves too, the way we see ourselves. Because everyone has good days, everyone has bad days. And there's a part of us, even though it really makes it complicated and it can really ignite a lot of fears in us. Can we trust that person? Is that person doing something behind our back? Or even with ourselves, when we hold these splitting like expectations on ourselves that I have to be perfect, any mistake means that I'm incompetent, this huge failure, or unable or unworthy to experience life. And that becomes that little family in the head and BPD stuff that I talk about. Well, the impact on relationships is really important. We're diving into that one here specifically as well. And splitting can make your feelings, right, it goes up and down. It's like a roller coaster. And it can also cause arguments and really intensive hurt feelings. Let me just give you two examples. You have an amazing weekend with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever that individual may be, right? You feel so loved. But then you have a small fight on Sunday night, and suddenly you feel completely unloved, you feel abandoned, you feel rejected, and you feel like they just don't care about you anymore. And this tendency is you're going to cut them out of your life completely, kick them to the curb, right? And that's it. And the other example is that your teacher or maybe your boss tells you that you did a great job on an assignment. You see them as the best teacher, boss, person ever. But when they give you advice on how to improve, or maybe something is a little askew, a little out of whack, let's say, you feel like they're being mean and unfair to you, and you're like, stick it. And maybe you want to drop out of school, or maybe you do. Or maybe you want to quit your job while you're telling them to stick it, and you're walking out the door, slamming the door behind you. These mood swings and these changes in feelings can really confuse you because there's no consistency. Wouldn't that be great? But when we expect the extremes, then it shows that the world is inconsistent and that we're trying to make it fit into this nice, neat little box. And believe me, I get it, because when there's fluctuations, it adds a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear. But seeing people as all good or all bad, and this goes for yourself too, we got to realize that most people and circumstances and relationships are all in the middle. It's not all great and it's not all garbage in 99% of the cases. Now, maybe you're in a terrible relationship. Even in terrible relationships, there's usually a couple things that pop up here or there that are kind of like, yeah, that's kind of good. But we're always doing that cost and benefit analysis, and that's not splitting. Adding that cost benefit analysis to how you see your relationships is so important because it'll teach you how to catch that splitting. And let me tell you how to recognize splitting. Black and white thinking. This is saying things like they never, and use the word never. You use all of these extreme terms. They never listen to me. Or you might say on the other end, they're perfect. They're perfect. A lot of times when I'll start treatment with somebody, and because I usually have a waiting list or it might be difficult to get started with me, a lot of people when they get started, like, oh, this guy's great. This guy has all the answers. I don't. I don't have all the answers. I operate in a shade of gray. And is it coincidental that my shirt is gray today? It actually is. But we're all in this shade of gray. But it's hard because what splitting does, and it is a maladaptive coping strategy, it forces us to try to feel comfortable in the extremes. Because if someone is always good, I can count on you. I can trust you. You're not going to hurt me. If someone is always bad, I can't count on you. You're a horrible human being. You'll never be a good person. And I can't have you in my life, so I'm going to kick you out. The reality is, most people aren't here. There's a couple people out there that are there, but the majority is most people aren't. And most people are going to function in here. And that's that shade of gray. And you'll feel these intensive mood swings because usually splitting as a maladaptive coping strategy is a response. It's feeling happy one minute and you're upset the next. And some questions that you can ask yourself. Am I seeing this person as perfect or terrible right now? Ask yourself that. Like you get into a situation, am I seeing this person as perfect or terrible right now? Right? Because we have to slow down and analyze it. And I know it's tough because when you get activated, you want to jump off and react. I completely get it. And your other question to ask yourself is my reaction based on just one thing they did or how they treat me overall? And particularly in relationships, that's really, really important because when you add splitting to relationships, you're cutting out all those other experiences because you're activated. And you can be activated for the positives, you can be activated for the negatives. But the problem is both are a maladaptive coping strategy because it takes away the realities of the world that we live in, and we don't want to do that. Because when you split, it becomes very narrow as to how you see others. Your therapist included, your parents, your significant others, your brother, sister, cousin, neighbor, best friend, whomever it may be. It narrows it and we forget to look at the full perspective of somebody. But you can manage splitting. It is possible to do that. Let me give you some simple tools to help you handle splitting when it happens. First, and this one might be tough, but it's also one of the most important. Pause and reflect. Stop. You got to take a deep breath. Now, breathing deeply and having control over your breath, at times it can feel really tough, but man, does it work. And it's worked since human beings have been on the planet the whole time we've been here. So breathing is critical. For example, if you want to send an angry text, count to 10 first, slow down a little bit, think and ask yourself, is this really how I want to respond? Is this really what I want to say? And in the moment, that BPD family head's going to say, oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, it is. Let them have it. They did this, they did that. And you're going to get more amped up. That tells you you're being manipulated, that you are skewing, you're distorting how you're seeing this instance. That's why we got to slow down. We got to think about it. And we got to reframe those thoughts. You want to challenge those extreme thoughts, create more balanced ones, because that is critical. Instead of saying they never cared about me, try something like, I'm feeling hurt right now. I really feel kind of abandoned. I feel a little rejected. I'm feeling kind of empty inside. But that doesn't mean that they don't care about me at all. Because what happens is, and if you see my other videos, you know that I often compare BPD and family in the head to that stray cat. The more you feed it, man, the more it is around your house, hanging around, meowing, meow, meow. Oh, like you got some meows out of me. It's pretty good. I don't meow in a whole lot of videos, so you may want to save this one, right? So that it's that meowing, and they're not meowing in the middle of the day, right? When you're at work, they're meowing at night when you're trying to sleep because they're getting under your skin. They're activating you, getting you frustrated. So you may want to, if you have a trusted other, could be a therapist, could be a friend, could be a sibling, whomever, could even be your partner. If they're a trusted other, that you want to use them as a bit of a reality filter. And it's okay. Because if they care about you and want to help you, then they'd be willing to do that. Now, if they can't, then you got to pick somebody else. That's okay. Mental health provider can be a great source for that. But you want to talk to somebody you trust when your emotions feel out of control. And you want to ask that individual, you want to say, am I overreacting here? This is what I want to write. Like, I have clients who will often say, this happened and I think I'm splitting on it. I mean, I'm really upset. I want to send this email, this text. What do you think? Okay. And then we kind of unpack it. We take a look at it. That is awesome. Because look at it this way. If you were learning any skill, ice skating, playing guitar, playing paddleball, kayaking, doing whatever, and you have a coach, you go to that coach when you're stuck, when you're not sure, because any good coach is going to recognize your maladaptive patterns and try to move you to adaptive patterns. Therapists, mental health providers, psychologists, psychiatrists, that's all the same thing. That's what we're trying to do. Move you from maladaptive to adaptive. And splitting is a huge push in that maladaptive tendency to get you to a maladaptive response that disrupts your relationship. And hearing their perspective can really help you calm down and see things more clearly. And you can also tease out what's going on. And that's really important too, because insight is critical. You got to have insight and just slow yourself down. Don't go activation and response. And I know it feels that way, because when you're activated, you're in the throes of it. You're in that whirlpool of doom and you're spinning around and spinning around and spinning around, and it's so intense. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Whoa, hold on a minute. Tread water for a second, right? Just kind of tread water. Just be cool. Because splitting can make relationships feel like a roller coaster, but recognizing it is the first step in managing it and moving towards a more healthy relationship. Have you ever experienced splitting? I want you to tell me about it in the comments. A lot of people read the comments and they get a lot of great support and help, I think, through this YouTube channel, not just from me, but from all of us contributing positive information, encouraging information. I want you to keep on doing that. Like, share, and subscribe. That would be super awesome. That would be wonderful. Also, I want you to check out some videos, how splitting is killing your relationship. It's important to look at that as well. Get another perspective on splitting and relationships. Also, the other side too, which is 5 proven strategies for stronger relationships if you have BPD and even if you don't. I think these 5 strategies can really help you build a stronger relationship. And that's what it's all about. It's about having stronger relationships, not only with others, but with yourself too. And no self-attack. Don't do that, because that's usually part of a split as well. So I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.